So earlier this year, I decided to fix my relationship with men and start listening to them a little bit more and stop being so defensive about everything that they say. And the more I speak to men and the more I become friends with them and hear their viewpoints, the lesser of a feminist I become. I feel like I don't resonate with being a feminist anymore. So now I'm a misandrist, and a very proud one.
I was tagged in this post yesterday, and as a woman, it's challenging to hear these thoughts from men, but there are men amongst us that are living amongst us and believing and thinking things just like this. So I'm going to read the post. He says, I'm a misogynist who doesn't want to be one. There's not a single piece of media I enjoy that is female-led. Books, movies, games. There's actually a game that just launched that looked amazing, but the more I played it, the more I just got hung up on the female protagonist. Even media that is objectively good, I don't enjoy it solely for the fact that women outshine men. Frankly, it makes my blood boil whenever I see a woman achieve anything. I struggle to trace this back to its roots. I had a positive childhood, still maintain a great relationship with my mom and aunts, and can't think of any examples of sexism being instilled into me. I think at a subconscious level, I don't see them as humans on the same level as men. I fail to comprehend the mental differences, so it's easier to classify all women as something else. I also don't know how I can fix it, seeing as I can't afford therapy. And to make matters worse, I'm completely straight, so I want a wife, but that'll never happen as long as I harbor this hatred, no matter how much I try to suppress it. That was the end of the post until people started laying into him in the comment section. So then he came back and created this edit. He says, so I've gotten a lot of comments calling me mentally ill, insulting me, etc., which isn't unearned, but I know I'm wrong and want to change. Are you saying that if I became a better person, I'd still be undeserving of love? Either way, I won't let my current state dictate my whole future. I don't think this person is fit to be in society. This person shouldn't be around women and children, shouldn't be around normal thinking men and boys, because even if they weren't misogynist, after listening to something like this, they would be infected or poisoned. And if he was around people that are like him, they would bounce off of each other and then get supercharged. We should not have people like this in our society. I was tagged into this post fairly early. Sure Dingo says, BurbNBougie, you should see this, very concerning. And I'm like, woof, I just cannot. Thanks for the tag. So here I am. If you do want me to see things on Reddit, it's easier if you just tag me, or you can inbox me over on Reddit. Diet Smoke hones in on this part. Frankly, it makes my blood boil whenever I see a woman achieve anything. To say, this is a really, really concerning thing to say. I hope you realize just how scary and potentially dangerous that mentality is. And he says, I do. That's why I'm saying something. And this is where I jump in. I said, how could you possibly change when you don't see women as human? This is the reason why y'all will forever be a repellent to normal thinking women who actually like themselves. I'm wishing for people like you to stay alone forever and just dwell in the bottom of a sewer for all I care. I think people like you deserve the absolute worst in life, and you deserve to be lonelier than you are right now. I'm wishing the loneliness epidemic turns into a pandemic. And I said that, and I meant every word of it, because throughout the comments, he's not saying anything about what he's doing to change anything. He just says, I don't want to do this. Okay, what is he doing? Absolutely nothing. So he needs to stay away from women. He needs to stay away from anything that's living and breathing. He needs to stay away from plants. He needs to stay away from everything. Just stay in a little corner of his home and be away from people forever and ever. Amen. Beneficial Empress says, why do you feel shaming someone asking for help is a useful solution? She says that to me. I'm not sharing what I said to her just yet. I'll come back to what I said. But Toilet Go says, stop being a pick-me for a guy who doesn't even think you're human. LOL, are you serious? He never asked for help. This is a confession sub. He wanted to vent. I don't want to be an alcoholic is very different than how can I get better? Can someone please help me? I'm looking for resources. Can anyone recommend anything? How do I use Google? Can Google AA? Can I Google AA, or do they not have a website? Someone please help me, for I am a wee babe. She hones in on, I also don't know how I can fix it, seeing as I can't afford therapy, saying all he has to do is Google this or browse a feminist sub or any one of a dozen obvious answers. If he can write 2 cogent paragraphs about how much he hates women, he can effing Google how to stop being a misogynist. I don't care if you have no self-respect to the point that you'll defend someone who sees you as subhuman, but you're also shitting on other women he hates. You're disrespecting them. And to that, Beneficial Empress says, the title is literally, I'm a misogynist who doesn't want to be one. If you want him to continue his misogynistic beliefs, continue as you are, but others recognize there are numerous ways people ask for help, and it isn't always as simple as, will you help me? Jersey Girl says he only wants help that he isn't asking for because he doesn't want to be alone. That's it. It sounds more like he wants to pretend not to be a misogynist so he can have a wife. Just like one may want enough money so they can have a house, car, and food, etc. Toilet Ghost asks, did you read any of his comments? He's wallowing and moaning and not asking for help. And then Toilet Ghost says, hones in on, if you want him to continue his misogynistic beliefs, it says, B, please. The audacity of you to even blame me 0.0001% for his continued misogyny. LOL. I'm not responsible if he continues to be a misogynist. Know that. And on the flip side, you can't cure him no matter how special and insightful and compassionate you think you are. Hard Knock Sam says, if someone really, truly, genuinely wants help, they will ask, will you help me? OP has yet to show he actually wants to put in any effort to change. He's asking women out on dates because he hopes if they say yes, it'll change how he feels about them. That's not how it works. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Women will see right through him, so they'll reject him and he'll say, see, no one will help me. I guess I'll keep on hating. He will keep on hating. Even if he were to get a woman, eventually he's going to slide into hatred of her if she accomplishes things, if she doesn't perform like his corn-addled brain thinks that she's supposed to perform. I don't know if this is even curable. But this is what I said to Beneficial Empress when she said that to me. I said, okay, think about it like this. I'm a black woman. Since you can't imagine how repelled I felt reading this, imagine a racist saying he sees black people as subhuman. And every time a black person accomplished something, he felt a sense of hatred. I have a visceral reaction to someone who hates the core of who I am simply for existing, and I do not think pleasant things about them. Matter of fact, the world would be better if they didn't procreate and if their DNA withered on the vine. And I say this with all due disrespect. So that's how I feel about this person. So people were wondering why he even wants a wife. Quirky Friendship says, I'm curious why you want a wife. If you hate women, why would you want to be connected to one for the rest of your life? Classic Extreme says many misogynistic men have, or at least want, because why wouldn't they? To them, a wife is not someone to love and share a life bit with, but rather someone who will cook, clean, have sex whenever they want, and birth children. Just another tool for completing their lives. Chicken Casa Grande says a bang maid. And then Eden Evelyn says, and also an incubator. A lot of men want the status and recognition that comes with having kids, but have no intention of putting in any time or effort in raising them. To them, that's women's work. They just want to tell her how to do it. Then Jersey Girl says he wants a wife, so he's likely saying he wants sex, a housekeeper, and an incubator until the kids come. Then he wants a nanny. He didn't say, I'm heterosexual and I want to spend my life with someone, grow together, lean on each other through good and bad times, and possibly raise a family with them. Nope, he just says, I want a wife, as if wives are possessions for men to obtain. And he says, that's what I want though. The second paragraph, I don't want to be alone. It's not good to be alone. He needs to get some friends. He does not need to burden any woman ever. Women need, if you come across men that even like hint at anything like this, run away from them forever and ever. Amen. Join the conversation. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. Share. I was tagged in this post in the 4B movement, and even though I'm not living 4B, I support women living how they want to live. And this woman says, I love how safe my home is and how honored my body feels. She says, hi all, I'm not extremely intellectual or articulate. Many of you can word this better than me, but I still wanted to share. Spoiler alert, this is very articulate. I love this post from her, and I think that we need to see women sharing how they feel about how they are living and the choices that they make. So just spoiler, she is articulate. She says, I wanted to reflect on the immense peace and contentedness I found once I was able to exist in my own home without any expectation of performance. I've been single for quite a few years now, and it will absolutely be staying this way. And the biggest reason is because of how much calmer my apartment feels. I'm not an object in my home anymore. I'm a woman. I don't have to look sexy in my home. I feel no pressure to suck in my stomach after a big bowl of pasta or when I'm bloated on my period. I don't worry how my thighs look when I sit on the couch that I paid for. I don't tuck my chin under my shirt when I'm laying down on my phone. I am allowed to look disheveled and dirty after my manual labor job. I'm allowed to be quiet and grouchy after a bad day at work. I don't have to fake being pleasant. I love that I can express every single emotion that I experience, positive or negative or neutral, and nobody is around to call me a B word for it. I can meditate, read, pray, sew, write, watch my aquarium, and play with my cat for as long as I want. I can be myself. I can be 28 and play with my Monster High dolls and anime figures and truly not give a about what some man says. I can come and go whenever I please. I can go to bubble tea down the street for 10 minutes or drive 2 hours to visit a cool looking church, or I can spend a weekend camping on a whim, all with nobody to answer to. The fact that she is 28 and just completely checked out really speaks to what Gen Z women are going through. This is a Gen Z woman, and she's already speaking like this. I cook all the vegan food I want. I can make all the strong curries and caramelized onions without complaints. I make my favorite foods every single day. I can bake desserts and trust that a man didn't eat the whole effing cake by the time I get back from work. I love that I can walk around in just a baggy t-shirt and not have my butt slapped or groped. I love that none of my actions are perceived as an invitation for sexual comments or touches. I love that I can relax in the shower and not have someone just walk in to join me. I love that I can relax on the couch on my phone without someone stroking my leg. I love not being touched. I like being able to sleep when I want. I like not feeling guilty for saying no. I like not hearing a speech about a man's needs. I like not waking up to a man's morning wood. I love that I will never have to give head again. I like not having to kiss disgusting morning breath at 6 a.m. I like that my morning voice isn't sexy to anyone now, and that my mundane self isn't dissected for things that a man finds attractive. I like not feeling violated during sex. I like not feeling pressured to continue sex that I don't want to have. I like not having sex at all. I like not having a man's semen touching me. I like avoiding the guilt of saying no, of being neglectful, of being frigid, of being cold and distant and boring. I don't have to hide my body. I don't have to live on edge out of fear that a man in my living space will try to objectify me. I will never be touched without consent in my home. I will never receive objectifying comments in my home. I will never be ogled and stared at in my home. I like the accountability. Dirty dishes in the sink, my fault, let me clean them. My own mess, my own problem. Rent needs paid. What an effing privilege it is to be a woman who can rent her own place at all. My whole life is currently one big privilege that I hope all women of the world will get to enjoy. I love the safety that I feel. I sleep well every night. I wake up knowing that the day will be better than the one before. I pray you all find peace too. I am glad that she wrote this and articulated it, because somebody needed to see this. Somebody is still worried about things like this because they're not able to yet say no. They feel pressured and all of that. And that happens. And until you get the assertiveness to say, no, I'm not comfortable doing that. I'm not comfortable staying with you. I'm not comfortable with you being in my space. You make messes and you won't clean them up and all of that. This is an option. When we were talking about 4B heavily last year, and so many people thought that women couldn't stick and stay, what these women are finding out is that there is so much peace in their own homes, and so many will not go back. There is a quiet paradigm shift. Just like the women that are quietly leaving the church, there are so many women that are quietly just leaving. And like last year, it was really loud. It was loud when we were talking about it. So many people thought that women just couldn't opt out and stay away. But the men of right now are making it easy to stay away because they are showing how much disdain they have for women for just living, succeeding, breathing, loving, trying to find peace. Men are showing us that they have this disdain for us, and women are like, cool, I'll stay away. Anyways, C Machine is the one that tagged me in. She says, I love this post. I agree with everything you said. I too have lived alone for years, except for cats, and it's really as wonderful as you say. BurbNBougie would probably love this post too. And I did comment. I said, I love that women get to live precisely how we want. Thank you for tagging me. And the reason why I said it like that women get to live how they want. Some women want children. That's fine. Live intentionally. Some women do not want children. That is fine. Live intentionally. Some women want to be single and have their own home. That's fine. Some women want to be in a relationship and date. They still want their own space. That is fine. The important thing is knowing what you want and being able to articulate it and execute the game plan that you want for your life. It will make you happier. Routine Traffic says, this is the peace I'm experiencing right now. Also, it's so special and so magical. We are honoring ourselves. Our energy spent on men is now delivered back to us. Women are the best. And to that, the OP says, only a woman could thrive this much. Pursed Lip says, I moved out of the marital home into my own place a couple of months ago, and I resonate with everything you said. It's absolute bliss in every sense of the word. It wasn't until I left that environment that I realized how stressed and on edge I was all the time. I can finally relax and just be. Honestly, even if I weren't 4B, I still never want to cohabitate again. So women have done it, and this is the thing, so many women are experiencing this and leaving, and they're not leaving because someone like me or another person who's 4B or child free or whatever speaks on it. They're leaving because they have experienced sucky relationships and don't want to do it again. Angel Cutie Baby says, oh, you articulated this very well. I agree. The OP says, thanks for the reassurance. I just started Topamax and my brain feels like it's melting, to be honest. Topamax is some kind of medicine. Jack Cat Gat says, agreed. And then Laura at the bottom says, my mother is 71. She's been on her own for almost 30 years now, and she still talks the same way you do about having her own home. I also have my own home, and the feeling of home truly being your sanctuary and safe place is indescribable. All right, y'all, join the conversation. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. I just did this post yesterday where this woman said, am I overreacting? Boyfriends tracking my periods without me knowing. I do like to go back to these people's posts sometimes to see if they made an update or anything. So I go to this woman's post. This is her profile name, Narla Plushie. She does not have any other posts. So I see if she's been commenting on her posts or if she's updated anything. She only has one comment, and it's on this post, am I overreacting? X reached out to me to get back together. Now, honestly, I was supposed to do this post anyway. I was tagged in this post, but let's check out her comment over here. And this is her comment. I can't believe this is a combo, which is amazing and ironic because people want her to come back and acknowledge the conversation that's going on underneath her post. So I said, are you planning to update us on what happened with your boyfriend? She has not responded because she only has one comment on her page. Now, Talk About Things is a little bit more gruff with Narla Plushie saying, shut up, see you next Tuesday. You can't even respond to your own craziness. And I was like, damn, calling her that? Jesus. I'd like her to weigh in too, but gosh. Like, dang, yeah, everybody wants to know she brought us the conversation, but she didn't come back. Okay, so that is the update. There is no update on Narla Plushie and the boyfriend that's tracking her periods. Now let's look at this post. Like I said, I was supposed to do this anyway. Someone has sent it to me. She says, am I overreacting? X reached out to me to get back together. Let's check out the caption before we look at the text. She says, my ex texted me. We dated only for a few months and I fell really in love with him. He ended it because he wasn't attracted to me. Now comes all this. I'm really upset. Am I overreacting? I want to block him, but I don't know what the nature thing, maybe the natural thing. I don't know what the nature thing to do is. I was thinking of calling him, but not sure. So that's her caption. Let's look at the screenshot. There's only one screenshot. This is the ex-boyfriend. He says, hey, I know it's been a while, but I really miss you. I don't know how to fix this. She says, there's nothing to fix. You told me you weren't attracted to me and you ended it. You hurt me. I don't know what you want. He says, I'm not attracted to you, but you're cool. I like your personality. Is that not enough? She says, unfortunately, not for me. I can't be in love with someone who doesn't physically want me. He says, well, that's why I think we should be open. I can have the emotional connection with you and we can find the physical somewhere else. She says, I can't do that. He says, fine. F you. You never cared about me anyways. So he thought that he was going to come spin the block, find a way for her to be the emotional support human or something. And she was just going to be okay with that because he knew that she really was into him and he was going to utilize that. He was going to use that knowledge to extract some of her time, energy, and resources. But at least she had enough self-awareness, self-confidence, self-esteem to say, you're going to have to get someone else to do it. I am glad for that because sometimes, she really loved him. If she had a lower self-esteem, she might have been okay with getting some breadcrumbs, but she was not. And I definitely applaud that. Disaster P says, block that thing. I felt pain when I read the find physical somewhere else. WTF. Toxic, terrible ex. I'm sorry they are hurting you like this. They seem very self-centered and abusive verbally. Legitimate Net says the exclamation points and question marks really said it all. Yes, right here. Advanced Avocado says, LOL, that thing is a perfect description. Useless 890 says, block him. Either he wants to have his cake and eat it too, or he doesn't really want you as a girlfriend, but he doesn't want someone else to have you. Either way, it's not a relationship. Lillian Sweet says, exactly. That's not love or commitment. It's just control. Blocking him is the healthiest move. Individual Tennis says, was he drunk or high when he messaged? No sane woman would put up with this bull. He can go fall off the face of the earth. Trash. Sleep Deficit says, probably neither. I think he's just Stupid and classless. I don't think sober up or recover from this level of dysfunction. This kind of damage seems hardwired. Eggy Chi says, that thing is cracking me up. Optimal Vast says, I feel like this kind of has to be AI. No way people are truly this transparent and someone still wants to know if they're overreacting, right? If not, then OP was raised very horribly by parents who gave her zero self-esteem, and this is incredibly sad. She says, to be honest, I was raised to be understanding of people, not by horrible parents. I have a boundary issue when it comes to certain things, and that's my problem. Please don't bring my parents into this. And then Resident Relevant says, they raised you to be a doormat, not understanding of people. And sometimes it is how you were raised. If you were raised to not have boundaries, it's because you weren't allowed to have boundaries or a voice or an opinion. So even though Vast was probably kind of gruff with it, Optimal Vast probably has or is on to something. She says, update, I blocked him. I don't know why I was even considering not. Thank you everyone for your help. Steffi says, this was the only correct option. Good for you. Don't look back. Blue Beam says, good for you. And I'm glad you respect and love yourself enough to not want this negativity in your life. You deserve better. Brave Persimmon says, why haven't you moved on? That's a show to go back to. And she says, I have moved on. I haven't heard from him in like 7 months. He randomly reached out to me this morning, and now all of a sudden my head is reeling. And then Physical Motor said, man said it himself, fine, F you. If you think there is love, care, and respect or something healthy behind him reaching out, read it again. And she says, I definitely don't think there is anything loving or healthy about him reaching out. But the good thing is, she says she blocked him. Good for her. Good for the community coming through and saying this is not healthy. Move on. Sometimes women just need that extra validation. Good for her. Y'all let me know what you think about all of this. Go ahead and chime in, like, comment, and share. I did this post about a month ago. She gave us an update a week ago. I was just alerted to it. I'm not going to do the whole post, but if you didn't see it or if you need a refresher, after I do the update, I will just stitch together the old post to the back end. So she's 32. Her husband is 36. She says, my husband staged an intervention after I told him I wanted a divorce. She says, I've been married to my husband for 6 years. It's my first serious relationship. I love him. He's funny, charming, and intelligent, and we share a lot. But he's always been a little hot-headed. Some context first. A few months ago, a situation at work went badly, and I fell into a burnout. I'm autistic, and the burnout has made my executive dysfunction much worse. I've been on sick leave ever since. I have very little energy. Even basic things leave me exhausted. I sleep a lot. Socialize very little, skip meals. I know it's bad, but I'm doing my best. My husband has been very frustrated that I'm not respecting his needs. We don't have sex. I don't cook every day, and the house isn't as tidy as he'd like. Multiple times I didn't take care of things while he was at work, so he yelled at me. Others, I made him ignore me for hours. I tried to explain that I was struggling too much, and he replied that I was using my situation and exaggerating my symptoms for attention. And then in the post, he calls her parents and his parents. They stage an intervention, and she feels kind of ambushed. So that was the post a month ago. That's as far as I'm going. But like I said, if you want to see the full post, I'll stitch it at the end of this one. So here's her post. She says, trying to make it work. He got better. He sincerely apologized, and I tried to fix my state the best I could. We agreed some ground rules and minimum things I should try to do every day to keep the intimacy alive. We agreed I could keep seeing my therapist, but I have to focus only on my issues. But it's hard because she keeps bringing my husband up. I've also had my first appointment with the psychiatrist. No assessment yet. I want answers. There were a few days where I made enough efforts and we had sweet and joyful moments together. But again, I still feel anger. My husband often, maybe anger at my husband often. I don't know if that's anger at my husband or anger from my husband. And she says, I think he's losing patience and I feel terrible every day and I want it to stop. I think about leaving all the time instead of working it through. I had an episode where apparently I passed out and he took care of me. He was sweet. I know he informed our parents and friends, and they contacted me to say they were there for us. We had a lot of heartfelt discussions about what happened, and he hugged me and kissed me, and he said he loved me, and it broke into tears because I scared him. And he needed to be reassured, so we agreed on checking on each other regularly throughout the day until we find a more permanent solution. But now I have panic attacks, and I'm scared to tell him. This does not sound like it is a healthy situation for her to try to heal in. The fact that that her therapist wants to bring up her husband tells me that the therapist knows and understands that the husband is probably impacting her healing or lack thereof. So the therapist wants to bring it up because that's the only way she can really work through things. And the fact that this woman is having panic attacks and she doesn't want to tell her husband says that he is not a safe place or a safe space for her to try to heal, I don't think. But he's sitting up there trying to keep the family roped in, and that's a way to keep connected to them. So they seem like, well, they'll probably say, oh my gosh, he really cares about her. But I think that he's using this as a ruse. But this is the update. This is as much as she has said. Zealous Ideal Work says, OP, please look into the cycle of abuse, linked below. It sounds like you're in the honeymoon phase and quickly swinging back into the tension building phase. This is not a healthy relationship, and your safety needs to be your top priority. Your husband not wanting you to talk about him to your therapist is a major red flag, and your therapist keeps bringing him up because she recognizes he is a large source of your stress. I clicked into the link. This is called a safe place. It says cycle of abuse. Research has shown there is a distinctive cycle to domestic abuse. Although every relationship is different, commonalities can be seen. There are 3 different phases: the honeymoon phase, the tension building phase, and the explosion phase. The entire goal for this cycle is to keep the survivor on edge and to obtain power and control over the relationship. This cycle often continues and may even speed up, leaving out the honeymoon stage altogether, if not stopped. The cycle can end in homicide, self-deletion, or unfortunately both. Here is the cycle of abuse. It says the abuser's behavior. So we'll start here. The cycle of abuse, the abuser's behavior. We're under honeymoon. It says apologetic, respectful, more attentive, promises to change, improve communication, helpful around the house, gift giving and compliments, spends time with you and the family. Tension building. Insults, threats, sarcasm, jealousy, accusation, fault finding, controlling your actions, quick mood changes, emotional distance. Explosion, intimidating body language, keeps me from leaving, throwing things, slamming doors, silent treatment, name calling, swearing, yelling. I'm going to get out of the way. You may want to take a screenshot of this. This sounds like something that we could recognize in other things, and we need to continue to have these conversations. So go ahead, chime in. Let me know what you think about all of this. That's the update we have as of now. I appreciate the couple of people that tagged me into this to let me know that there was an update. About a week and a half ago, I did this story. There's an update to it. People tend to like it when I just go over the main points of the first post. So this was posted in the relationship advice subreddit. She says, my husband staged an intervention after I told him I wanted a divorce. She says, I've been married to my husband for 6 years. It's my first serious relationship. I love him. He's funny, charming, and intelligent, and we share a lot. But he has always been a little hot-headed. Some context first. A few months ago, a situation at work went badly and I fell into the burnout. I'm autistic and the burnout has made my executive dysfunction much worse. I've been on sick leave ever since. I have very little energy. Even basic things leave me exhausted. I sleep a lot, socialize very little, skip meals. I know it's bad, but I'm doing my best. My husband has been very frustrated that I'm not respecting his needs. We don't have sex, I don't cook every day, and the house isn't as tidy as he'd like. Multiple times I didn't take care of things while he was at work, so he yelled at me. Let's skip a little bit. She says, I tried to push myself to meet his needs and keep up with the house, but every time I quickly got too tired and had to stop. I tried to tell him, but he said he didn't want to hear it because he has enough on his plate. I never know if I'm going to make him angry. I have been crying almost every day, and I don't know if it's the burnout or if it's because I can't be there for him. I felt like it would be better for both of us to take a break. He refused and said that as his wife, it was my legal duty to be there in sickness and health. Forget that she's sick and this is causing her to melt down even more. 2 weeks ago, I finally told him I wanted a divorce. He had a meltdown and he yelled for hours saying, I was just confused because of my mental health. He apologized later and said I shouldn't act irrational like that. I hesitated for a few days and I told him I still wanted to leave, and he had another meltdown. Yesterday, I woke up and went downstairs to find my husband, his parents, and my parents all waiting for me. They said they were extremely worried that they never get news except from my husband. He reported to them that he was scared for me because I was isolating and harming myself. They told me it was okay to need help, that I needed stability. They said they were all there for me no matter what. I cried the entire time. I felt cornered, humiliated, and defensive. I felt like that was not normal, but now I don't know what to think. So now she's trying to figure out, does she stay? Does she leave? Does she go over to her parents? She's trying to figure things out. Let's go ahead and check the update. Let me just put this out there. The update is not a great update. She says, I decided to stay and get help first. I talked to my parents not long after the intervention to explain my perspective to them. They listened and said they were concerned, but asked me to wait and make sure that I was not being oversensitive and that all marriages had ups and downs. I'm seeing my past psychologist and my GP while waiting for the appointment with the psychiatrist my husband booked for me. My therapist recommended me to get away, even temporarily, or set firm boundaries. I annoyed my husband with that a few times and he got angry and said I was being dramatic or that my therapist was not a marriage counselor and had no say. I contacted my parents and asked if I could come and stay for a few weeks. They asked if my husband agreed and I said he didn't know, and they said maybe I should talk with him first. Her parents do not have her best interest in mind. Not long after, my husband called me and asked to stay home, and he came back and grabbed me and screamed and yelled, said I made him furious, disappointed, and very worried. He asked me how I could do that to him and why I went behind his back. And it was time I stopped playing the victim and that he did not recognize me anymore, that everyone was worried about my state. He set up this intervention to make her look bad and make her look crazy. He is about to do something very nefarious based on this. He is harming her and is going to do something to her and then blame her for it. That is what he is setting the scene for. This is a terrible situation. He told me he thought we trusted each other and that I needed to improve before he had to take measures to help me. I just felt sorry about what I did and for being too emotional again. I think I had an autistic meltdown, but I'm not sure. I don't remember everything. I apologize for my behavior and tried to initiate sex with him, but he pushed me away. I think he's okay now, but I know he's still hurt. I'm feeling guilty, horrible, and anxious. I can't stop pathetically crying. I don't know how to fix myself. I wish that appointment was sooner. How do I stop hurting him? She says, edit, your replies are freaking me out. I am sorry. I don't think I can handle this right now. Nothing about this update is good. The way he has manipulated her to the point where she is apologizing and so confused is so bad. And so she already knows that she's autistic and she burnt out. And she's not being allowed to get any better because she doesn't have a support system. Her parents don't even support her. It sounds like the parents went behind her back and called her husband. And so now the husband is mad and yelling and doing all kinds of things to make her burn out even worse. This is not going to be a safe situation to be in. I don't know if he did more than grabbing her or whatnot, grabbing her and she's already melting down. If this is not DV, it's definitely emotional abuse, psychological abuse. This is, I don't have enough strong words to say how deplorable this situation is. Helly Casp says, ask your husband first. is an incredibly asinine response that tells me your parents think your husband owns you and you do not have individual rights, acting like they no longer have the responsibility or desire to protect and shelter you as their daughter now that you're married. Men like that escalate. Today, it's grabbing you. Tomorrow, it'll be shaking. Next, pushing you. And sooner or later, it will be hitting. And he's setting her up. It like literally, she could be, unalived in a bathtub and he blame it on her, saying she's been on a downward spiral for months. He's setting the scene so he could do what he wants. That's how I'm seeing it. Lim Fool says exactly this. OP's husband is not her dad, not her caretaker, not her owner, and definitely should not even be her partner. He is abusive emotionally and increasingly physically. He is controlling. OP, take back your power as an effing adult and just leave. The Baron at the bottom says, yeah, she's in this situation because of her parents and shouldn't see them as a safe option to turn to about this. Okay, you're all caught up. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. And if you haven't yet subscribed, I'm working towards 100,000 over on my YouTube page. So go ahead and smash subscribe.
I know this is gonna piss so many people off, but there's a popular saying on the Chinese internet says, even a top tier man is just an average woman. Someone wrote, a man who doesn't smoke, doesn't drink, doesn't cheat, doesn't gamble, no criminal records, stable job, cooks, cleans, emotionally stable, respects others, kind to his family. Isn't that kind of a man so rare? But honestly, every one of my female friends meets that standards and more. So yeah, even the best man is just an average woman. Oh my gosh, Shakespeare could never. And it really makes me think of the double standard that society has for men and women, especially when it comes to parenting and marriage. If a man cooks for his wife, takes care of the kids, does the housework, I guarantee 95% of the comment section is gonna say, oh my god, you're such an amazing dad, husband material, best dad ever. And sure, as a woman, I applaud guys like this. We love seeing guys being nurturing, being involved, we love more of that. But let's be real, isn't that just a mom's regular everyday life? When moms do it, it's never appreciated, it's expected. But when guys do it, it's suddenly you're the best dad of the year. And we see this happens a lot. A woman needs to work twice as hard as a man to get the same position. And a guy can just does the bare minimum and still get praised. So what we need as a society is to raise the standards and stop letting the shitty ones get away with bare minimum.